Hello, it's Phillip Taylor from Richmond Green Chambers speaking. I'm talking about a book which I use quite regularly, which I think many of my learners would be interested to hear my comments about. It's called The English Legal System by Walker and Walker, and this is actually a picture of it here in my review, which has appeared in a number of different places on the internet and in journals. I've called the 10th edition of Walker and Walker as dependable as ever, and it is because I actually started using Walker and Walker. It was my very first main textbook for the English legal system in the late 1960s. I think it had a yellow cover in those days. So I've always had a bit of a nostalgic feel for the book, and it was actually when I was studying A-level law, so some long time ago. It's obviously been updated to take account of new conditions that have occurred, and obviously in this day and age studying law is very different from the way it used to be, and there are a huge number of books now on the market which weren't around in the late 60s, early 70s. Now the new editors are Professor Richard Ward and Ward Akhtar, and they've gone for what I think is a rather fetching pink and blue colour for the cover. As I say, I think it was yellow when I first looked at it. It's an attractive cover for what remains an attractive book in detail. I think I'll put it that way. And the authors, in my view, have risen to the task and produced an excellent work for the 21st century, which fits the requirements of certainly the undergraduate market extremely well. I'm glad they've kept the title, and they've not changed it to something like common law systems or reasoning. Now, I understand the problems, but the fact is I'm proud of the English legal system and what it says, because it's a system of law which has been historically developed for us in England and Wales. And of course I do understand that the overseas jurisdictions would prefer any comments about the common law to be removed in terms of its direct link with any imposed colonial rule. Although we've got to face a few facts here, and that is, where did the law come from? And clearly, if you think about English law, a very large part of the world which now has the common law and our principles were derived initially from the Normans and the pre-conquest system here, based on custom. Now you can look at any systems you want, but you should bear that in mind, in my view. The structure of the book is much in keeping with what we currently need today, and what I like about the way this is structured is you've got emboldened short form introductions to each chapter with very good reading lists to assist you certainly with your revision plans. The 10th edition is completely up to date, and Oxford University Press, I think, are to be commended because they've now got the link with the online resource centre, which I think is very excellent for updates and so forth. On footnotes, I know there's a lot of controversy about this. I suggest that readers don't get too bogged down with them. My advice has always been to go through the main text and look at your footnotes afterwards. Obviously it's always useful to do a bit of speed reading so that you've got some idea of the general picture that's emerging of a particular legal principle. Obviously the footnotes will give you the sort of referencing you want, and further reading sections are also extremely useful as you delve and explore more of the subject matter. Ward and Akhtar, I think, have succeeded with their aim of providing an accessible and relatively concise expedition of the main principles, rules and issues which affect the English legal system today. They've maximised, in my view, the user-friendly nature of the book, which I actually don't think I would have envisaged 40 years ago. But certainly that's probably because the law was taught rather differently in those days from the way that we actually teach it today. So they got the balance right for 2008-2009 with the inclusion of issues which I think are very relevant today, and of course they've identified the heavy legislative process that we've got at the moment and the various bills before Parliament, and they've been able to undertake and modernise the book well, it's still uniquely valuable and traditional as far as telling the tale about common law is concerned. And I think Walker and Walker's English legal system will remain in its rightful place, right at the top really of the established works, whatever the provocation from the European Union about the way we change things, because we do have our English legal system which is distinct from those of the other member states, and I think we should be proud of that. This book remains in my affections, as I'm sure each one of those early books that you had when you started the subject will do, and I think it's probably one of the best for undergraduates. So do have a good look at it. Thank you very much. Bye bye.